Hey there, welcome to dotnetFlix. Today we're talking to Eduard Keilholz. Hi Eduard, how are you?
Hi, Sonne. I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. So you've been quite busy building this application or maybe even a platform for speaker reviews, right?
Yeah, I call it these conference organizer co-pilot.
Ah, it has to be a co-pilot in the name, right?
Sure.
Does
No,
that
it's
mean you
called
you you can vibe code your all through it?
yeah, yeah. Obviously, we need to vibe code, right? No, it's called Spreaview, and it's my attempt of an abbreviation of speaker and review. And that's most of the questions I get about the platform is why did you come up with this name?
Why?
Vibe naming. Yeah, I know how it is.
Naming things is hard,
Yep.
and
It
the
is.
domain name was free, so. Yeah, the domain name was available. So
Well, that's
Cool.
always a good place to start, right?
yeah,
So we thought we've been using Spreaview. We organize sometimes local conferences, and we've used Spreaview in the past to collect feedback on our speakers. And I think it's very nice for the speakers as like a dashboard to see how they're doing. So we thought, hey, let's talk to you about it. Maybe get a little bit of a demo and see what some of the major design choices are that you made. So maybe just start with a demo just to show the people what Spreaview is and what it can do.
oh yeah, sure. So as preview is basically as a conference organizer, I would like to give my speakers some feedback about their performance or how their session is received on the conference. And as a we are all conference speakers, all three of us, and you sometimes see that conferences try to organize that and really don't do a good job. So either you get a number of yeah, your session was rated 4.6 and you don't have a clue what it means. So I thought let's create something a little bit more sophisticated so we can get our speakers more valuable feedback and maybe some information about what part of the session the audience really liked, or what part of the session, or what topic within their session may use some improvements. And that is where Spreaview came to life. So I created one conference here, and as an organizer, you basically set up some default information. So the name of your conference, and Spreaview will automatically generate a unique conference code for that. Obviously, a date range, and this is where AI already comes in. So you get to enter a couple of topics that you would like your conference to cover. And when you add some presentations to your conference, then AI will try to match these sessions to the given topics by their session abstracts. So session abstracts, the sessions usually, or conference sessions usually have an abstract, which is basically a short story of what the presentation is about and what topics it covers. And well, there's the match. And that allows me to, at a later stage, identify what topics were popular and what topics were less popular rated for
Right.
your conference. And there's some other settings you can, as a conference organizer, you can set up whether or not to show a free comment field. So as Preview measures on four values. One is the speaker, one is the content, there's the delivery and interaction. And those values are scored with the stars from 1 to 5. And you, as a conference attendee, you select one of these, you value the stars, then you hit submit and you're done. And as a conference organizer, you get to choose whether or not you want to add a free comment field, and that's always optional. So attendees can leave some additional text, and you can additionally, optionally ask for an attendee name, also always optional, and show a ranking, and that is on the speaker report. So when you later send a report to the speaker, you can either choose whether or not to show how their session scored for the entire conference. And then your conference has speakers. So for this conference, I added our own host and myself as a speaker. There's tracks, which is basically the rooms where all these sessions are hosted in, and obviously the presentations. This is doing awesome shit. Presented by me in the default room, and it takes place today from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you can see that with this check mark, a QR code is generated for this session together with a link. And when you follow that link, you will end up on the review page. So this is basically what attendees will see for this session. And this is obviously a very good session. So all 5 stars.
Obviously.
Well done. Submit, and then you're good to go. So this is the way how you can collect feedback for your presentation. This is what attendees will see. There are some tweaks that you can do for this screen, so you can at a minimal basis tweak it a little bit so it complies to the theme of your conference. So you can change the color of the title bar and show your conference logo here. But again, fairly limited. But it's a start. But it's really hard to do this all manually. If you have a larger conference, a couple of days with a couple of hundreds of speakers, you don't want to enter this all manually. So this field here on the top, Sessionize API ID. Sessionize is usually is one of the biggest platforms that conference organizers use to select their speakers and to make a schedule for their conference. And that platform also allows you to generate an API ID, and with that you can download all the conference information that you need for your conference. So when I get back to this overview and I create a new conference and call it do you have a good conference name, Sander?
I have an awesome conference name because I'm currently involved in organizing Azure Fest, which is going to be held this September. And we can try it out on that session as we've just closed our call for speakers, so there should be some data in there.
Oh.
I think it's September 17th.
17th, so start date and end date are the same.
Yeah, single day. We've got 15-minute sessions. And so the review window, what does that mean exactly?
So when a session starts, depending on the schedule, so when it's used to start, it will open the review. So from then on, you can go ahead and review.
Okay, so you've got 4 hours time to enter your review.
No, it actually 4 hours and 50 minutes, because the review window will start when the session is when the session scheduled is scheduled to end.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so this allows you to this prevents review data to flow in when the session has not started yet, and it also allows you for a limited amount of time to set up the review period, because at the end you will you want to have an entire overview of what happened in your conference, and if review information is likely to still flow in, then your reports are not reliable because data may change over time, and this way you can simply set up a limited amount of time, and when all the review data is in, then you generate the reports.
Right.
So this is where the 4 hours come from. And now when I open this conference, you see all the data that I just entered, and I can go ahead and enter the Sessionize ID for your conference.
Yeah, so this is the idea of an endpoint that I created in Sessionize.
Yeah, so then I save it, and this button becomes available. And now when you click it, it will download all the speakers and the presentations for your conference, if I'm correct. Uh-oh.
Well, the button does say sync Sessionize, right? So
but
it should do it. But
hold on, wrong date, wrong year. So we're in 2026 at this point. Right. And this is a date filter that is used to download all the information. And obviously, when you download these sessions from a wrong date, then no information is
right, because sometimes you can have these events set up in Sessionize that are used for recurring meetups and stuff like that, right? So then you want the date filter to pick out the correct data.
Exactly. So now I changed the date, imported everything, and you can already see that the background process is starting to generate QR codes. The red icons indicate that no QR code is available for the session yet, but again, it's a background process, so it takes time. And you have 4 tracks, if I'm correct.
We do.
And hopefully,
well, actually, we've got 3 tracks and a lunchroom, so.
Got it. So, that's actually nice, because now you see the red exclamation marks are gone, so everything is generated correctly. So Spreaview has an event view. When you open that, you can see all the rooms.
Oh, that's
one of
nice.
them is not, and then review from here. But again, all the review windows are closed for the current reviews because they're scheduled in the future.
Yeah.
Now, if there are sessions in a certain room and you don't want this room to show up, first off, there are no sessions planned for, I see, Penthouse Plaza and Garden. There are no sessions planned for Atrium. So that is why Atrium doesn't show up. But what you can also do is just change the visibility here. So even if sessions are sessions are scheduled in Atrium, for example, lunch or whatever that you would like to use on your on an overview for your conference, you can still hide it in Sessionize, and that allows you to hide it from this view.
Right.
So, and then this conference code matches the conference code right here.
Cool. So, and this is all from the perspective of a conference organizer, right? But what I also really like is that from the speaker perspective, if I give talks on different conferences and they all use Spreaview, then I get this like holistic dashboard of all my reviews in one place. Yeah.
So, and now's the time that you want to see that, right? Because
I don't know if that's possible in your demo setup.
I don't know as well.
Let's find out together.
Yeah, so this user that I'm logged in with right now is not a speaker. And I don't think, so the thing is that I used Enter External ID as an identity provider for Spreaview. And I was not really happy with it because it had some limitations, and I was migrating, I migrated by now to Auth0.
Yeah.
And my speaker account is not migrated to Auth0 yet. So there's no way at this point that I can log in with my speaker account.
That just means it's all very secure.
Yeah, it's all very secure.
Okay, so through the magic of editing, you've now added what did you do? You added your user account?
Yeah, I migrated my account to the new identity provider. So at this point, I can access my speaker dashboard. And obviously, because I'm already logged in, it will allow me to show that dashboard. And what you can see is that there's one planned session for me. Planned sessions are on the left side. And this is where you can see the conference date, what presentation I will deliver there, my name, what date and time my session is planned. So this is the date of the conference, and my session will start at 17:15 in Plaza. And when I click that button, I can download the QR code to include it in my slide deck. And when I present that to the audience, obviously, they can scan that QR code, and then they will end up at the review page for my presentation. But also, as you mentioned, if I, as a conference speaker, hit multiple conferences, on the right side, I see all the conferences that I've been at that used Spreaview. Now, in my case, obviously, there are some test conferences because I want to test Spreaview in a test environment, but also in production, just to verify that everything is fine. And you already see some data. So for this conference, I received 18 reviews. Those are my average scores, and I can view a full report. And this is what a speaker will receive after the presentation is done, except for this part, because this part is only available when the entire conference is done. And it shows an overview of the best presentations for the conference. So in this case, for Techorama 24, which was last year, Sander Hogendoorn and Kim van Wilgen delivered the best session of the conference, where the speaker score is 5 and content score 4.0. And these are the reviews. So the text reviews. One thing, slides could be clearer. That's something I can work on. Interesting in topic and clearly explained. Nice to hear. Could be a little bit deeper, and that is always a little bit difficult review or opinion to receive, because you never know where to go there. If you go too deep, then people start complaining that it's too complex. And in this case, I didn't go too deep, and then someone thinks, okay, I wanted to go a little bit deeper and learn something more specific. So for me, it's a little bit hard to receive this comment, or at least identify what I can do with it.
Yeah, you have to account for a lot of diversity in the room, right? There can be some beginners there can be people with like 20 years experience, and you want to serve the whole audience. So that's kind of a balance.
Yeah, and this is microservices orchestration with Azure Container Apps. So I already know what my slide deck looks like for this presentation, because I did it a couple of times. And then slides could be clearer. I think I can refer to what this comment is aiming at, and it is actually valuable feedback. I can work with that and make my slide deck a little bit clearer.
And all in all, it's nice that it's such an easy process, right? They just need to scan the QR code, set some stars, maybe add some text, click done, and the feedback is collected. And that's really important to get a lot of people to actually do it, right? Because if it's too much hassle to give feedback, a lot of people simply won't do it.
Yeah, so there is one feature that as an organizer that you can use, and this is the swag requirement threshold.
Ooh.
And if you enter that, what you basically configure is for all my conference attendees, if they leave, in this case, let's say 4 or more reviews, they apply for a prize. And this only works when you enter a value that is higher than 0, and you hit this ask attendee for their name. So what will happen now is this button becomes available, prize draw. And when you click that, it will come up with one of the attendees that apply for a prize. So that means that they have left at least 4 reviews of 4 different sessions, and they left their name, because obviously you need a name to shout out to the audience. Hey, I want Peter or Hank.
So is this a new feature, or has this already been done at the conference?
It is already in the system. You've used Spreaview for BitBash last year. It was already there, but in a different form. Because I want, the thing is, leaving feedback, I want that barrier as low as possible, because audience doesn't want to leave feedback. There's nothing in it for them. So all the feedback that you can get is valuable. So that bar must be as low as possible. So leaving a name is already a barrier.
Yeah, it's another text box. So
Yeah, but it's now if I go to the review page of this presentation, let's pick one. It will ask progressively once for your name. So whenever, but when I cancel and go to a different review page, it will never ask for the name again. So it's only a one-time thing that it asks, but all the way on top here, enter your name. You can still change it.
Right.
So when you decided to not enter your name, you can click that button and then say, okay, my name's Eduard. And it changed your name to Eduard. That's it. But you can enter whatever you like. Peter also works.
So as an attendee, right, I'm giving feedback on session number 1. I enter my name, then I go do something else. I go to session number 2. I want to leave feedback for session number 2. It still remembers my name at that point for the second session.
Yeah, it still remembers your name.
And so where do you store that? In a cookie or something?
This is a nifty trick of Spreaview. I don't want to tell.
We want to secrets, Eduard.
Yeah. So I use some tricks in. I don't want attendees to necessarily create an identity or identity provider, because then you raise the bar high enough for attendees to not leave feedback.
Yeah.
So I am bound to what a browser is capable of, and I try to use as nifty tricks as possible to be able to remember a name. But if you go in incognito mode, you'll break it.
Right.
But then, it doesn't make sense. If you want to win the prize, it still needs to identify you as you with an ID. So it doesn't make sense to go in incognito there.
That's kind of counterproductive to the goal. Exactly. So we might want to use this for Ashefest, because we usually have a prize draw at the end of the conference, and it's basically, hey, if you're still here and you've got a badge, just throw it in the box and we'll pull one out, and that one that person gets the prize. But I think it would be a nice experiment to tie it to this feedback system and see if we can get some more.
Sure. So what happens if
the only problem is then if multiple people enter the same name?
Yeah, no, it's not.
But then
if you hit prize draw, then in this case 0 attendees have enough reviews, and 0 attendees left a name for a review. So at this point, there's no way that the system can draw a winner. But if you have enough reviews, then it will come up with the same information, and it will eventually give you a pool of attendees that apply for a prize.
Yeah.
So as a conference organizer, you can hit the prize draw button, and then you see how many attendees apply for a prize. And when you have enough attendees, it will come up with a name here. So then you can shout out, "Hey, Peter, you won." Now, if there's 5 Peters, you can make them scan this QR code. And if they scan this QR code, their device will show whether or not they are the correct winner. So then 4 Peters will fall off, and 1 Peter will be the actual winner. So now when I scan this QR code, and I'm not a winner, I will see, sorry, you're not in.
with a nice meme.
Yeah,
of course.
And the correct Peter will see a happy gift with confetti and everything, and then you know who's the correct winner, and then you can hand out the prize. And that allows you as a conference organizer to maybe drag people over the line to leave more reviews, which is valuable for you as a conference organizer, but also obviously as a speaker.
Definitely. So we've already seen that you give talks on Azure Container Apps and Dapper and all that sort of thing. So what's this build on? Are you practicing what you preach, or did you build this in Java?
It's all Java and JavaScript.
all 5 coded. You don't even know what the code's like, right?
Exactly. So now my screen changes a little bit, and I think that my screen resolution is a little bit off. But this is Spreaview in the backend. So there's this Aspire project, which orchestrates everything. And to be honest, I over-engineered this project a little bit. But that is because my first intent was to give conference sessions about this very project. So then you need to over-engineer it to make sure that you can tell enough information and show how things are done. So for example, if I go to the conferences, you see one conference API, which is a microservice, and core data abstractions. This here is a Cosmos DB project because conferences are stored in Cosmos DB. Integration services that allow other services to communicate with these conferences. And that is where Dapper comes in. And then obviously tests, because who doesn't test? And as said, for internal communication from service to service, I use Dapper. So I have 2 ways to go there. If a service depends on information which is the responsibility of a different service, I will make an internal call to that service and then throw that information on the distributed cache so it's available more instant for that service. But also sometimes I synchronize data proactively. So if data changes on one service, I throw that on the messaging system, and other services have a subscription to that message, and they will go ahead and change the information in their local service. So I don't need to make that call. And there are nightly synchronization processes that if I missed a message somewhere, to make sure that everything is consistent again. And now when I go to a different service, for example, for licenses, you'll see that this pattern is used for almost every project. So the build-up for every project is somewhat the same. I think the QR code generator is a little bit different. Also looks similar.
And then each of these like microservices gets their own container?
Yeah, so everything in Azure runs in Azure Container Apps. So I have one application landing zone, that is where the Azure Container Apps environment lives. Mm-hmm. And the service bus and Azure Cache for Redis, configuration, a key vault for secrets, application insights and log analytics for telemetry. Am I missing something? Not sure. Maybe that's all.
Your Cosmos DB? Not sure you've already mentioned.
Cosmos DB, yeah. And then each and every service lives in a separate resource group, has at least one container app, and some services, for example, the QR code generator uses data, Azure Storage. An Azure Storage account, and that will be provisioned in the same resource group as, in this case, the API.
So how do you provision your app? Because you are using Aspire. So one of the things Aspire does is it can help you get your resource up into the cloud. Do you use that, or do you use something else? Yeah,
so this project was built prior to the Aspire era, so to say. So I already had my deployments in place. And I'm trying to open the project in VS Code because, yeah, there you go. So this is everything open in VS Code, and you see that I have a couple of workflows, and each workflow is for a different service. Can you zoom in a little bit on VS Code? Yep, I can. But I wanted to open one, so hold on. So again, this is a workflow for conferences, and there is, there you go. It triggers whenever a pull request is created, because as mentioned, I have a test environment. So whenever I create a pull request, it will immediately go ahead and deploy the new version that I want to test to a test environment. And there are some paths. So if whoops, that's a strange line there. So whenever I change something in Spreaview core, it affects all the projects. So I want to deploy everything. If I change this workflow, I want to deploy it. If I change something in Cosmos DB, which is a shared resource, I also want to deploy everything. And for this service, conferences, and whenever something changes in conferences or in the Aspire folder, I want to trigger this workflow. And same for when a pull request is merged to main, then I also investigate these paths. If something has changed in either one of these paths, this workflow will run, and it will go ahead and generate a version with semantic versioning. Then it will go ahead and test the infrastructure, or at least transform our bicep files into JSON files, which is some sort of a test, because then at least you know that your bicep is correct. Then run all the tests, build a container, and push that container to container registry. And finally, I will kick off a bicep deployment, which will effectively tell the container apps environment to either provision or create a new revision and pull the new version of a container from the container registry and run it. Same for the production environment. And for each and every service, I have a separate workflow, except for the landing zone, because that is somewhat different. It has different paths. And this one is it doesn't build anything. This is infrastructure only.
Right. So I guess so you're really deploying each microservice independent, right?
Yeah. So if I only change something in the conferences service, then the only thing that gets deployed is the conferences service, and I leave everything else as is.
Yeah. What's a nice pattern, but I guess that when you mentioned over engineering, you're also you also meant that whole microservice architecture, probably, because if you look at the size of Spreaview, a modular monolith like setup would probably be just as well.
Yeah, for sure, yes. But this was also, it was a couple of years ago that I started this, and then Dapper was also really evolving and becoming something, and I wanted to play with Dapper. And to be honest, I am still very charmed with some features of Dapper, mostly the pubs up. I really love that. Because what happens
nice.
Sorry?
I agree. PubSub's really nice.
Yeah, so what happens if whenever you throw a message on whatever bus, if I run localhost, I configure Dapper to use Redis for PubSub, and when I run it in the cloud, it will take advantage of an Azure Service Bus. But whenever a message arrives for a specific service, Dapper will pick that up and make an HTTP post request to a service. So for example, if you create a new presentation in Spreaview, I want the QR code generator to pick that up and generate a QR code.
Right.
And when I have controllers here, I have an event handlers controller. And now when I zoom, tooltip. Now when I zoom in, this is an HTTP post. And what you can see here, topic, this is what Dapper does. If you add this attribute topic, I need to adjust the circle a little bit so you can read it. If you add this topic attribute, you have to tell what PubSub Dapper component you're using and what the name of your topic is. And this is the way to create a subscription. Now, whenever a message arrives on this PubSub component in this topic, Dapper will automatically create an HTTP post request to this method, and then this code will be invoked. And that pattern is, I think, it's really lovely, and it's really one of the things where Dapper really shines. So in that perspective, I always think that microservices are a little bit overcomplicated, especially for services or products as small as Spreaview. Yeah, obviously it is really an overkill to use it for this service. But on the other hand, once you have Dapper in place and you have the messaging up and running, it really becomes some sort of a breeze. And the fun thing is that I have a reverse proxy in front of all the traffic. And you see that this endpoint right here is an anonymous endpoint because Dapper needs that anonymous endpoint. So it could be a harm to expose it to the outside world. But since I have this reverse proxy, I don't have to port this endpoint to the public internet. So this endpoint will not be exposed to the public internet. It will only live as an internal endpoint in my container apps environments. That means that every container can go ahead and request this endpoint, but from outside my container apps environment, services won't be able to hit this endpoint, which is nice, I think.
It is. What kind of reverse proxy are you using?
For localhost development, I use YARP, which is an open source library written by Microsoft, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was started by Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the cloud, I use API management.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, yeah. But because YARP, you write your rules in .NET, right?
Yeah, I really, yeah, it's a personal preference. Yeah. So here's the reverse proxy, and everything is written in code because I just prefer to use the code option. But you can leave this all out and make one big configuration file where you configure your proxy, and then tell YARP, hey, here's your configuration. Go ahead and run it.
All right.
Also works. Yeah.
Well, I like doing things in C#.
Yeah, I think these are all magic strings at this point. But if you go ahead and change that into constants, you have some sort of feedback whenever your configuration is off. And obviously, at this point, no, because it's still all magic strings and things can go wrong. I have to change that, but then you get feedback. Hey, you're trying to use a cluster here that doesn't exist, or if you make a typo.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you so much, Eduard, for this lab around Spreaview. I look forward to using it again with Azure Fest.
Yeah, me too.
I think we lost.
Make sure to buy a license.
It's a community event, right? So free license, I guess.
Yeah, so for community events, or at least events where it's free for all attendees, and then you get to use Spreaview for free. There are some limitations in the capabilities, though. So if you if you use a Sessionize ID, whenever you change information in Sessionize, you have to hit this sync button, and when you buy a license,
you click the button.
Yeah, I click the button for you, so the synchronization is done for you, and the AI stuff is left out, so you can enter whatever topics you want, but AI will never kick in. But for usually, if community events want to use these features, then I still provide them with a free license that does include the AI stuff.
Nice, nice. So we'll be sure to include a link on the YouTube page so people can find your app and use it in their local conferences. I think we've lost Edwin somewhere along the way. He had some trouble.
Yeah, I do want to thank
with his machine
a lot.
But he can watch the recording.
Yeah. Well, he'll be editing, so we need to stay nice. Oh, there he is. Oh no, left.
he tried to join and immediately crashed again. So what can you do? Yeah. So thank you so much, Eduard, for all of you watching. Thank you. If you like this episode, please subscribe, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye bye.
Hit the thumb.